Welcome to PrepPass. Here are 50 real California food handler practice questions with answers for 2026. Read each question, then try to answer before the 5-second timer runs out. For the full free practice test, just search preppass.org. Let's begin. Question 1. Under California Health and Safety Code Section 113948, within how many calendar days of being hired must a food handler obtain a food handler card? A. 14 days. B. 30 days. C. 60 days. D. 90 days. The correct answer is B. California law requires every food handler in a covered facility to obtain a food handler card within 30 calendar days of hire. The worker may continue working during that 30-day window while completing the training and exam. Question 2. How long is a California food handler card valid from its date of issue? A. 1 year. B. 2 years. C. 3 years. D. 5 years. The correct answer is C. Under Section 113948, the food handler card is valid for 3 years from the date of issue. The holder must retake an accredited training course and pass the exam again to renew. Question 3. Which California law, enacted in 2010, created the statewide food handler card requirement? A. SB 602. B. EUB 1234. C. Prop 65. D. SB 1383. The correct answer is A. Senate Bill 602, signed in 2010, added Section 11394. Question 4. A training provider must be accredited by which body for its food handler card to be valid statewide? A. California Restaurant Association. B. Local county only. C. OSHA. D. ANSI under Conference for Food Protection, CFP, standards. The correct answer is D. Section 113948B requires the training and exam to be from a provider accredited by ANSI, American National Standards Institute, under Conference for Food Protection, CFP, standards. Question 5. Which 3 California counties are exempt from the statewide SB 602 program because they operate their own food handler programs? A. Los Angeles, Orange, Ventura. B. San Diego, Riverside, San Bernardino. C. Sacramento, Fresno, Kern. D. Santa Clara, Alameda, San Francisco. The correct answer is B. San Diego, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties had food handler training requirements predating SB 602 and were grandfathered out. Workers in these counties must follow the county-administered program rather than the statewide ANSI-CFP card. Question 6. Who owns the food handler card and is responsible for keeping it current? A. The employer. B. The county health department. C. The food handler, worker. D. The training provider. The correct answer is C. The card is issued to and belongs to the individual food handler. It is portable across California food facilities, outside the 3 county exceptions, for its 3-year term. Employers must, however, keep a copy on file for each worker. Question 7. How does the California Food Safety Manager, FSM, certification differ from the food handler card? A. The FSM is a more advanced certification, valid 5 years, and at least one is required per facility. B. The FSM is the same as the food handler card. C. The FSM is required for every food worker. D. The FSM is valid only 1 year. The correct answer is A. Per section 113947.1, every food facility must have at least one certified food safety manager. FSM certification requires a more rigorous exam, is valid for 5 years, and is separate from, and not replaced by, the basic food handler card under section 113948. Question 8. What is the typical maximum cost a worker should pay an accredited provider for a California food handler card? A. $5. B. $15. C. $50. D. $100. The correct answer is B. The fee is set by the accredited provider, but the typical and commonly cited cap is around $15. Some providers offer it for less. Workers should be wary of inflated prices. Question 9. What must a candidate present when sitting for the food handler card exam, whether in person or via online proctoring? A. A union card. B. A social security card only. C. A pay stub. D. A government-issued photo identification. The correct answer is D. Accredited ANSICFP providers require a government-issued photo ID, such as a driver license, state ID, or passport, to verify the test taker's identity before issuing a food handler card. Question 10. Approximately what passing score is required on the California food handler card exam? A. 50%. B. 60%. C. 70 to 75%. D. 90%. The correct answer is C. ANSICFP accredited providers typically set the passing score at 70 to 75% on a roughly 40-question multiple-choice exam. Candidates who fail may retake the exam, often within a defined retake window. Question 11. What record-keeping duty does an employer have regarding food handler cards? A. Keep a copy of each food handler's card on file at the facility and make it available to inspectors. B. Mail original cards to the state each year. C. Destroy cards after the worker leaves. D. Only verbal confirmation is needed. The correct answer is A. Under Section 113948(e), the employer must maintain records of valid food handler cards for each food handler at the facility and make them available for inspection by the local enforcement officer upon request. Question 12. During the 3-year validity period, what continuing education or renewal training is required by California law? A. Annual refresher class. B. None. The worker simply retakes the full training and exam at renewal. C. Quarterly online module. D. Monthly logbook entries. The correct answer is B. Section 113948 does not require continuing education during the card's 3-year term. To renew, the worker must retake the full ANSICFP accredited training and pass the exam again before the card expires. Question 13. Which statement best describes the difference between cleaning and sanitizing? A. Cleaning and sanitizing are the same step performed in one pass. B. Cleaning removes visible soil and grease, while sanitizing reduces pathogens to a safe level. C. Sanitizing must be done first, and cleaning happens afterward to polish the surface. D. Cleaning kills bacteria, while sanitizing only removes visible dirt. The correct answer is B. Cleaning physically removes food residue, grease, and visible soil so a sanitizer can contact the surface. Sanitizing then reduces remaining microorganisms to safe levels. A surface must be cleaned before it can be effectively sanitized. Question 14. In a 3-compartment sink, what is the correct order of the steps? A. Sanitize, rinse, wash, air dry. B. Wash, sanitize, rinse, towel dry. C. Wash, rinse, sanitize, air dry. D. Rinse, wash, air dry, sanitize. The correct answer is C. The correct order is wash in detergent and warm water, rinse in clean water to remove detergent, sanitize with chemical or hot water, then allow items to air dry. Towel drying can recontaminate cleaned items. Question 15. What is the minimum wash water temperature for the first compartment of a 3-compartment sink? A. 110 degrees Fahrenheit 43 degrees Celsius. B. 75 degrees Fahrenheit 24 degrees Celsius. C. 165 degrees Fahrenheit 74 degrees Celsius. D. 180 degrees Fahrenheit 82 degrees Celsius. The correct answer is A. California requires the wash water in the first compartment to be at least 110 degrees Fahrenheit 43 degrees Celsius. Warm water helps the detergent break down grease and food residues so the surface can be effectively sanitized in a later step. Question 16. If hot water is used instead of a chemical sanitizer in the third sink compartment, the water must be at least A. 120 degrees Fahrenheit 49 degrees Celsius for 60 seconds. B. 140 degrees Fahrenheit 60 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. C. 160 degrees Fahrenheit 71 degrees Celsius for 10 seconds. D. 171 degrees Fahrenheit 77 degrees Celsius for 30 seconds. The correct answer is D. When using the hot water immersion method in a 3-compartment sink, items must be fully submerged in water of at least 171 degrees Fahrenheit 77 degrees Celsius for at least 30 seconds. The high temperature destroys remaining microorganisms on food contact surfaces. Question 17. What is the acceptable concentration range for a chlorine, bleach, sanitizer solution used on food contact surfaces? A. 10 to 25 ppm. B. A 50 to 100 ppm. C. A 200 to 400 ppm. D. A 500 to 1000 ppm. The correct answer is B. Chlorine sanitizer for food contact surfaces must be maintained between 50 and 100 ppm. Below this range it is too weak to kill pathogens, above it can be corrosive and leave a chemical residue. Always verify concentration with a chlorine test strip. Question 18. A food worker mixes a quaternary ammonium, quat, sanitizer. What is the typical minimum concentration to be effective? A. 25 ppm. B. 100 ppm. C. A 200 ppm. D. 400 ppm. The correct answer is C. Quat sanitizer is typically used at a minimum of 200 ppm, with many manufacturers specifying a range up to 400 ppm. Quat requires water of at least 75 degrees Fahrenheit and water hardness no greater than 500 ppm. Always follow the manufacturer's label. Question 19. What is the acceptable concentration range for an iodine sanitizer solution? A. 12.5 to 25 ppm. B. A 50 to 100 ppm. C. A 150 to 200 ppm. D. A 200 to 400 ppm. The correct answer is A. Iodine sanitizer must be used between 12.5 and 25 ppm. The water should be 75 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit and have a pH at or below 5.0. Contact time on a food contact surface is at least 30 seconds. Question 20. After items are sanitized in the 3-compartment sink, how should they be dried? A. Wipe dry with a clean cloth towel. B. Allowed to air dry completely on a clean drain board. C. Dried with paper towels to speed up service. D. Stacked wet to keep sanitizer in contact. The correct answer is B. Sanitized items must be allowed to air dry. Wiping with towels or cloths can recontaminate the surface and remove the sanitizer film before it has done its job. Stacking wet items traps moisture that can support bacterial growth. Question 21. For a high-temperature mechanical dishwasher, the final rinse water at the dish surface must reach at least A. 120 degrees Fahrenheit 49 degrees Celsius. B. 140 degrees Fahrenheit 60 degrees Celsius. C. 160 degrees Fahrenheit 71 degrees Celsius. D. 180 degrees Fahrenheit 82 degrees Celsius. The correct answer is D. High-temperature dishwashers must deliver a final rinse hot enough to sanitize the wares. The standard requirement is at least 180 degrees Fahrenheit at the manifold. Some stationary rack, single-temperature machines may operate as low as 165 degrees Fahrenheit if so designed and labeled. Question 22. A low-temperature, chemical, mechanical dishwasher uses a chemical sanitizer in the final rinse. The rinse water must be at least A. 100 degrees Fahrenheit 38 degrees Celsius. B. 120 degrees Fahrenheit 49 degrees Celsius. C. 150 degrees Fahrenheit 66 degrees Celsius. D. 180 degrees Fahrenheit 82 degrees Celsius. The correct answer is B. Low-temperature dishwashers rely on a chemical sanitizer, commonly chlorine, in the final rinse. The rinse water must be at least 120 degrees Fahrenheit so the chemical sanitizer works effectively. The concentration must be verified with a test strip. Question 23. Where should wet wiping cloths be stored between uses on food contact surfaces? A. Folded on a clean shelf next to the cutting board. B. Hanging over the edge of the prep sink. C. Fully submerged in a labeled bucket of sanitizer at the correct concentration. D. In the food worker's apron pocket. The correct answer is C. Damp wiping cloths used on food contact surfaces must be kept fully submerged in a sanitizer solution between uses. Question 24. During continuous use, how often must food contact surfaces such as cutting boards and slicers be cleaned and sanitized? A. At least every 4 hours. B. At least every 8 hours. C. Only at the end of the workday. D. Only when visibly dirty. The correct answer is A. Food contact surfaces in continuous use must be cleaned and sanitized at least every 4 hours to prevent microbial buildup. Question 25. A cook prepares a sanitizer bucket but cannot remember the correct concentration. What should they do? A. Add extra sanitizer to be safe. B. Use a test strip to verify the concentration is within the approved range. C. Use the solution and check it later in the day. D. Smell the bucket to estimate the strength. The correct answer is B. The only reliable way to verify sanitizer concentration is to use a test strip designed for that chemical, chlorine, quat, or iodine. Too little will not kill pathogens, too much can be unsafe and leave chemical residues. Question 26. How should cleaning chemicals such as degreasers and sanitizer concentrates be stored? A. On a shelf directly above the prep table. B. In unlabeled spray bottles for convenience. C. Inside a walk-in cooler near produce. D. In their original labeled containers, separated from food and food contact items. The correct answer is D. Cleaning chemicals must be stored in their original labeled containers and kept physically separate from food, utensils, single-service items, and food contact surfaces. Question 27. A worker just finished cutting raw chicken on a cutting board and now needs to slice tomatoes for a salad on the same board. What is the correct action? A. Wipe the board with a dry towel and continue. B. Rinse the board with hot water and continue. C. Wash, rinse, sanitize, and air dry the board before slicing tomatoes. D. Flip the board over and use the other side. The correct answer is C. Switching from raw animal food to ready-to-eat food on the same surface requires a full clean and sanitize cycle to prevent cross-contamination. Wash, rinse, sanitize, and let the board air dry before any further use. Question 28. Cross-contamination is best defined as A. Spoilage caused by bacteria growing inside a single food item over time. B. The transfer of harmful microorganisms or substances from one food, surface, or person to another food. C. An allergic reaction triggered by eating two foods at the same meal. D. Chemical breakdown that occurs when foods are heated above 165 degrees Fahrenheit. The correct answer is B. Cross-contamination means harmful microbes, allergens, or chemicals move from one item, raw chicken, a dirty hand, a sanitizer bottle, to another food or contact surface. Question 29. In a walk-in cooler that stores raw seafood, raw ground beef, raw chicken, and salad greens together, which item belongs on the top shelf? A. Raw chicken, because it cooks the longest. B. Raw ground beef, because it spoils first. C. Raw seafood, because it is the most fragile. D. Salad greens, because they are ready to eat and need no cooking. The correct answer is D. Storage order is based on minimum cooking temperature. The lowest cook temperature goes on top so drips never fall onto food that will be cooked at a lower temperature. Ready-to-eat items such as salad greens are not cooked at all, so they always go highest. Question 30. Listed from top to bottom, which cooler arrangement of raw items is correct? A. Whole poultry, ground beef, whole pork, seafood. B. Ground beef, seafood, whole pork, whole poultry. C. Seafood, whole pork, ground beef, whole poultry. D. Whole poultry, whole pork, seafood, ground beef. The correct answer is C. Order is set by minimum internal cooking temperature, lowest on top, seafood, 145 degrees Fahrenheit, whole cuts of beef/pork, 145 degrees Fahrenheit, ground meats, 155 degrees Fahrenheit, and whole or ground poultry, 165 degrees Fahrenheit, on the bottom. Question 31. Why is raw poultry stored on the lowest shelf in a cooler that also holds other raw meats? A. Poultry must reach the highest minimum internal temperature, 165 degrees Fahrenheit, so any drips will be killed when other foods are cooked. B. Poultry is heavier and could crush other proteins on lower shelves. C. Poultry releases ammonia gas that rises and can taint food above it. D. Poultry is the cheapest item and is always stored at the bottom. The correct answer is A. Cooler order is based on minimum cooking temperature. Poultry, 165 degrees Fahrenheit, goes on the bottom because foods above it, cooked to 145 degrees Fahrenheit or 155 degrees Fahrenheit, might not reach a temperature high enough to destroy poultry pathogens if drips contaminated them. Question 32. Under a common color-coded cutting board system, which board should be used for raw chicken? A. Red. B. Yellow. C. Green. D. Blue. The correct answer is B. A widely used color code is red for raw red meat, yellow for raw poultry, blue for raw seafood, green for produce, and white for dairy or baked goods. Yellow is reserved for raw poultry. Question 33. A cook finishes slicing raw chicken on a cutting board and now needs to cut tomatoes for a salad. What is the proper next step? A. Wipe the board with a dry towel and continue. B. Flip the board over and cut tomatoes on the other side. C. Wash, rinse, and sanitize the board, or switch to a clean board, and use a clean knife. D. Spray sanitizer on the chicken juices and cut tomatoes on top. The correct answer is C. Switching from raw poultry to ready-to-eat produce requires either a clean dedicated board and knife or a full wash-rinse sanitize of the equipment. A dry wipe or surface spray does not remove pathogen-laden residue. Question 34. Which of the following is one of the FDA's Big 9 major food allergens? A. Strawberries. B. Tomatoes. C. Beef. D. Sesame. The correct answer is D. Under the FASTER Act of 2021, effective January 2023, sesame was added to the FDA's major allergen list, making it the 9th. The full list is milk, eggs, fish, crustacean shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, soybeans, and sesame. Question 35. Where should a spray bottle of degreaser be stored in a food facility? A. On the top shelf above the prep table so it's easy to reach. B. Next to the open bag of flour for quick cleanup of spills. C. In a clearly labeled container, away from and below any food contact surfaces, or single-use items. D. Inside the walk-in cooler so the bottle stays cool. The correct answer is C. Chemicals must be stored separately from food, dishes, utensils, linens, and single-service items. The labeled container should be located where it cannot leak, drip, or splash onto food or surfaces that touch food. Question 36. Wet wiping cloths used to clean food contact surfaces should be A. Left on the prep table between uses so they are handy. B. Is stored in the cook's apron pocket. C. Rinsed under hot tap water only. D. Held in a labeled bucket of sanitizer solution between uses, at the proper concentration. The correct answer is D. Wet cloths must be stored submerged in approved sanitizer between uses. Leaving cloths on counters allows bacteria to grow on food residue and spreads contamination to other surfaces. Question 37. Raw shrimp in an uncovered container is being transported on a delivery cart. To prevent cross-contamination, the shrimp must be A. Covered and placed on a level of the cart that is below any ready-to-eat items being transported with it. B. Placed on the top shelf so the cold air rises from it. C. Wrapped only in newspaper. D. Transported in the same container as a cooked rice dish to save space. The correct answer is A. Whether in a cooler or during transport, raw animal products must be covered and kept below ready-to-eat foods so liquids cannot drip or splash onto them. Combining raw shrimp and cooked rice in one container is a direct cross-contamination hazard. Question 38. A customer asks whether the muffin contains any allergens. The employee taking the order should A. Guess based on what the muffin looks like. B. Check the ingredient label, recipe card, or manager-approved allergen list and report accurately. If unsure, do not guess. C. Tell the customer all baked goods are allergen-free. D. Refuse to answer and ask the customer to taste a small piece. The correct answer is B. Staff must give accurate allergen information using verified sources such as ingredient labels, recipe cards, or an allergen matrix kept by management. Guessing or giving false reassurance can cause a life-threatening reaction. Question 39. A prep cook is preparing an allergen-free salad for a guest with a wheat allergy. Which step is incorrect? A. Wash hands thoroughly and put on new gloves. B. Use a freshly cleaned and sanitized cutting board and knife. C. Use the same tongs that were just used to plate a sandwich on a wheat bun, since they look clean. D. Plate the salad on a clean dish brought directly from the dishwasher. The correct answer is C. Tongs that touched wheat carry allergen residue invisible to the eye. Using them on an allergen-free salad causes cross-contact. Every utensil that touches the allergen-free meal must be cleaned and sanitized or replaced with a clean one. Question 40. Which item is not one of the FDA's 9 major food allergens that must be declared on packaged foods? A. Tree nuts such as almonds or walnuts. B. Crustacean shellfish such as shrimp or crab. C. Soybeans. D. Garlic. The correct answer is D. Garlic is not on the FDA major allergen list. The 9 required declarations are milk, eggs, fish, crustacean shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, soybeans, and sesame. Question 41. Which of the following is not one of the 5 symptoms a food employee must report to the person in charge? A. Vomiting. B. Diarrhea. C. Mild headache. D. Jaundice. The correct answer is C. California law and the FDA Food Code list 5 reportable symptoms: vomiting, diarrhea, jaundice, sore throat with fever, and an open or infected wound containing pus that is not properly covered. A mild headache by itself is not on that list. Question 42. A cook calls in and tells the manager she vomited twice last night. When may she safely return to handling food? A. As soon as she feels well enough to come in. B. When she has been symptom-free for at least 24 hours without taking anti-nausea medication. C. After she has eaten a full meal with no problem. D. 12 hours after the last episode of vomiting. The correct answer is B. An employee excluded for vomiting or diarrhea may return only after being symptom-free for at least 24 hours without the help of medication that masks symptoms. Feeling better, eating a meal, or waiting only 12 hours is not enough under the Retail Food Code. Question 43. Which group of pathogens makes up the big 6 foodborne illnesses that a food employee must report? A. Staphylococcus aureus, Listeria, botulism, Vibrio, Campylobacter, Cyclospora. B. Influenza, common cold, strep throat, bronchitis, tuberculosis, pneumonia. C. Norovirus, hepatitis B, Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, botulism. D. Norovirus, hepatitis A, Shigella, Shiga toxin-producing E. coli, Salmonella typhi, non-typhoidal Salmonella. The correct answer is D. The FDA Food Code and California law require employees to report diagnosis or exposure to 6 specific pathogens: norovirus, hepatitis A, Shigella spp, Shiga toxin-producing E. Question 44. A server arrives at work with yellowing of the eyes and skin. What must the person in charge do? A. Exclude the employee from the facility and notify the local health department. B. Restrict the employee to dishwashing only. C. Allow the employee to work if she wears gloves. D. Send her home for the lunch shift but allow her back for dinner. The correct answer is A. Jaundice is a reportable symptom often linked to hepatitis A. The Retail Food Code requires full exclusion, not just restriction, from the facility and notification to the regulatory authority. The employee cannot return until cleared by the health department. Question 45. An employee has a small infected cut on her hand that is leaking pus. Which action complies with the California Retail Food Code? A. Wash the cut with sanitizer and continue working. B. Cover the wound with an impermeable bandage and a single-use glove before handling food. C. Apply a fabric bandage only and continue. D. Wrap the finger with a paper towel and tape. The correct answer is B. A wound with pus must be covered with an impermeable, water-resistant bandage and a single-use glove or finger cot. A fabric bandage or paper towel is not impermeable and is not enough. Sanitizer is not designed for skin and does not cover the wound. Question 46. When a food employee is diagnosed with one of the Big Six illnesses, who is the person in charge required to notify? A. Only the employee's family. B. Only the facility owner. C. The local health department, regulatory authority. D. The state insurance commissioner. The correct answer is C. California law and the FDA Food Code require the person in charge to immediately notify the local health department, the regulatory authority, when an employee is diagnosed with norovirus, hepatitis A, Shigella, STAC, Salmonella typhi, or non-typhoidal salmonella. Question 47. A dishwasher reports a sore throat with a fever of 101 degrees Fahrenheit. The facility does not serve a highly susceptible population. What is the correct action? A. Send him home for the rest of the week. B. Allow him to keep working anywhere in the kitchen. C. Exclude him from the facility entirely. D. Restrict him from working with food, food contact surfaces, or single-service items. The correct answer is D. Sore throat with fever generally requires restriction, not full exclusion, in facilities that do not serve highly susceptible populations. The employee can still perform tasks that do not involve food or food contact surfaces. Question 48. Which of the following is the food employee's own legal duty under California's reporting rule? A. Tell the person in charge as soon as you have a reportable symptom or diagnosis. B. Wait until your next scheduled shift to mention any illness. C. Diagnose your own illness before telling anyone. D. Keep the information private to avoid losing the job. The correct answer is A. The employee's legal duty is to report immediately to the person in charge any of the 5 reportable symptoms: a diagnosed Big Six illness, exposure to an outbreak, or living with someone who has a Big Six illness. Question 49. Which population is considered highly susceptible and triggers stricter exclusion rules? A. College athletes and gym members. B. Preschool children, the elderly in care homes, and immunocompromised individuals. C. Office workers in large companies. D. Tourists at a hotel buffet. The correct answer is B. The FDA Food Code defines a highly susceptible population, HSP, as people who are more likely than the general public to be severely affected by foodborne illness: preschool-aged children, older adults in nursing homes or assisted living, and immunocompromised individuals, such as those with cancer or HIV. Question 50. A cook was excluded after being diagnosed with salmonella. What does he need before he can return to work? A. His own note saying he feels better. B. A letter from his employer only. C. Written medical clearance from the health authority or licensed practitioner. D. Just 24 hours symptom-free. The correct answer is C. An employee diagnosed with any Big Six illness may not return until the regulatory authority, local health department, and/or a licensed medical practitioner provides medical clearance, often after follow-up testing. That's all 50 questions. Want the full food handler practice test with hundreds of questions, completely free? Just search PrepPass.org. Good luck on your exam.